external systems are blind, sir. The ship's status is non-operational until the ion storm passes.
Damn the storm. Not now.
I can't wait forever, McNeil. If I must take the fight to you...
It's a fight you will lose.
I've already won the fight. As we speak, the Earth is transforming itself into a virgin paradise, an Eden, awaiting the birth of a new race. A race of which you will be the newest member in a matter of hours.
McNeil will come. He stopped your missiles. He'll stop you.
It's time you saw the future, while you still have human eyes. I have concentrated enough Tiberium in this single warhead to convert the entire planet.
He'll never fire it.
You should pray that I do. I doubt there'd be much of a life for a freak like you in GDI's sanitized world. Prepare the patient for her final Tiberium enhancement. And let's send a little welcoming party for her friends.
What is that? We better get hot right now! Battle stations! Protect the Kodiak at all costs!
Be advised, Kane is determined to destroy you. The ion storm has grounded the Kodiak. We must protect it until the storm abates. Production will be limited. There is a high probability of equipment malfunction. Caution is advised.
Oh, welcome back, Commander. So it seems that the ion storms are not something that's quite predictable. Or, at least, if McNeil's been caught out in one, kind of a bad thing.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Unit received.
New construction options.
We're off to a rough start. Maybe it's because of the fact that there's artillery that kinda can see into the base already.
Sir.
Unit lost. New construction options.
Waiting orders.
Unit lost.
Unit ready. Sir.
If anybody's ever been mad at artillery in this game, this is kinda why.
Orders.
I don't think they're supposed to be able to hit the Kodiak from where we are, but I don't really know anymore. It's been a long time since I played this particular mission in the original version. More or less just because I'm not really a fan of this one.
Waiting orders.
I like the idea, though. We've already seen ion storms, of course, but seeing ion storms while also having base building can really mix things up. And we're going to see exactly why later on.
New construction options.
Sir. Unit reporting orders.
There's a few other things to point out as well. Ion storms, again, we've seen,
Unit ready.
and we've also seen lightning strikes.
Unit reporting.
In ion storms, lightning strikes are frequent, obviously, but also deadly if you don't pay attention. And
Yes, sir.
sadly, it's not something I recall being alerted by.
Infantry reporting.
It's one of those
Unit ready.
blink and you'll miss it.
Unit ready.
You just happen to have lost a power plant because lightning struck it.
Unit reporting.
And I don't mean to imply that the lightning strikes themselves are super powerful or anything, but more that you kind of want to keep tabs on things you own periodically. Especially, say, the Kodiak, the mission critical
Unit ready.
building.
Sir.
Not really a vehicle, I guess. Not in the traditional sense, anyways. This mission also has a few issues with it that we'll probably see not too far from now. One specifically being a...
Sir?
Well, okay, so there's two issues so
Unit
far.
ready. Awaiting orders.
And both of them seem to be tick tanks. So I'm not quite sure if this is an AI thing,
Sir?
or because of like a dead waypoint somewhere in the map.
Sir?
Something's clearly going on. Not to say I won't take advantage of it if possible, but it did make it kind of weird altogether.
Cannot deploy here.
Sir?
Obviously, considering the fact that the artillery is kind of watching over my base, I'm just trying to build as far backwards as possible.
Yes, sir. Unit ready. Unit ready. You got it. On my way. Sir? Unit ready. Awaiting orders. Awaiting orders.
Unit lost.
No problem. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Awaiting orders. Unit ready. Awaiting orders. Unit ready. Awaiting orders.
If it hasn't been abundantly clear every time you've seen artillery so far, the reason why nobody likes them is their whole tracking. The fact that they automatically hit anything they shoot at with varying degrees of effectiveness is pretty frustrating, to
Awaiting orders.
be 100%
Awaiting
honest.
orders. Awaiting orders.
Having a kick-ass, attacking force of several titans, maybe like a lot of infantry to support it and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden you have a bunch of artillery just rain fire down on you. Even worse if there's regrowing fog of war, and on top of that they either have stealth tanks out and about on the map, or better yet, cloaking fields.
Awaiting order. I'm on it. Sir.
Unit lost.
I was gonna run that infantry back to my base, but I was kind of worried at the same time that
Options.
in doing so, I would have those guys run up to the Kodiak and then destroy it. And I'm already working with 2 artillery over my base, 1 tick tank that's bugged out next to the Kodiak, and another 2 further up north that they're stuck.
Sir, on my way. Unit ready. Awaiting orders.
Insufficient funds.
Yeah, don't get me wrong though. I generally like the pace of this level. It's very slow, but you have to be methodical. And again, you're working against the best that Nod has versus some of what you have.
Awaiting orders.
And I like the challenge of it. But since that would also take quite a while to actually play out, we're gonna, as always, speed it up. One small benefit is that artillery seems to be weird when used by AI. It doesn't always attack it doesn't always attack within its possible range, even though technically without artillery or without radar, it should still be able to see it. But I mean, I'll try not complaining about that too much. Also, another issue that I'm probably going to see a couple times is that for whatever the pathing, whatever reason, the pathing of the harvesters throws them constantly into the artillery, which obviously isn't exactly a desired result. I admit I was a little hesitant to even destroy those units, because I was kind of thinking in the back of my mind that maybe, just maybe, those units were important to a trigger that hadn't yet started up, and possibly just slow down the AI's advance or production entirely. Sadly, that wasn't exactly the case. On the plus side, though, I'm at this point basically like forcing the AI to harvest as far away as possible. So, giving me some breather, and at the same time, damaging their ability to get some income. Not as well as I'd like, admittedly. But this is going to be one of those levels where, if you don't long-range mine, or refine, or collect resources, whatever, I'm not quite sure how exactly you're supposed to do it. And it quickly becomes a fight between your harvesters and theirs. There's also some other things at play that, unfortunately, I'm not gonna just pause the video or slow it down for that part, but you can't use air units. They're just inoperable, and we've already seen that before, but it's interesting to get confirmation of that from the units themselves, and also interesting to see that certain units can be built and are immediately invalidated by the Ion Storm. Now, under normal circumstances, in, like, say, multiplayer matches, there's the ability to, how do I put this? You would have, under certain occasions, an Ion Storm happen. I believe they're randomly generated. I'm not sure what the interval is, or if there even is one. And I guess it's something to look into in a future video. However, the basic point is that you have stuff like the Hover MRLS that can be built, pops out of the War Factory, but then can't do anything. Technically, it can still shoot, but it can't move, so there's no point. Jump jet infantry just can't fly, which takes away their biggest asset anyways. They do have a different armor class, so they're not completely useless, but in a level like this, there's absolutely no point in using them. When you have things like Obelisk of Light and artillery waiting just about everywhere, I would just rather prefer have them fly if it was possible.
Unit ready.
Unit ready.
Unit reporting.
Unit ready.
Awaiting orders. Yes, sir. You got it.
Unit ready. Orders received.
I think this level, among others,
Building.
especially the later game ones, is kind of why I tend to go with an all-Titan army, even though it's probably not the most efficient, definitely not the fastest, and so on and so forth. But I think the reason, thinking about it now, that I always stick with them is that, well, Titans are good in any kind of weather, Ion Storm or not, and they're not super weak to the artillery. Sure, they're slow, but the Hover MRLS takes damage itself and won't really survive against other units either. In an Ion Storm, I won't be able to use any sort of flying unit, and I don't really like how bad they are. Not the Orca Fighter, anyways.
Building.
Unit reporting.
Awaiting order.
Construction complete. New
It's a little odd, too, now I think about it. Oh, there is a helipad. I was going to start questioning that.
Awaiting orders.
Which also seems like kind of a kick in the teeth, like why even let me build it?
Building.
But I think that's more of a limitation, because I don't think they could remove buildings from the production list.
Awaiting orders.
You just have whatever your tech level is set to. And at a certain point, the helipad is available before, say, the tech center, or the EMP cannon.
Sir, loud and clear. Moving out. Loud infantry reporting.
Unit lost.
Infantry reporting. Awaiting order. Good as done.
Yeah, I was hoping that I could have the infantry just focus on harvesters and destroy them. But honestly, harvesters are just too tough, and I don't really have the necessary firepower for it. Maybe with double the destroyers I have now, it'd probably work out, but...
Sir?
Ready.
Sir?
Infantry reporting.
Ready.
Yes, sir.
Fortunately, it already seems like I have bigger fish to fry with regards to artillery. Again.
Unit ready.
Unit reporting. Awaiting orders.
Awaiting order. Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Awaiting orders. Unit ready.
Sir. Awaiting orders.
Training. Unit ready.
Infantry reporting.
Unit
Infantry
ready.
I think another thing that kind of bugs me with this level,
Sir.
and it's probably just level design in general,
Reporting.
is that
Yes, sir.
I don't recall if we have the ability to build a mobile construction vehicle.
Unit
And
reporting.
we can't, quote-unquote, undeploy
Sir.
the one we currently have.
Unit ready.
And it kind of just sucks, because I really wish there was something to allow me to build a base closer to these ore deposits.
Ready.
Infantry reporting.
Unit ready.
Unit ready, sir.
Especially this, like, bottom
Unit ready.
right side of the map one.
Awaiting order.
Just seems like there's
Awaiting order.
some interesting things you could do if you could build mobile bases. Or just elsewhere on the map.
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Sir? On my way. Orders received. Sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ready.
You got it.
Unit ready.
Sir? Unit ready. Unit ready. Unit reporting.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Awaiting order.
I know somebody in the thread mentioned you should build like mobile sensor arrays and have them move up with the troops and so on.
Unit reporting.
Personally,
Sir?
I don't know. I just
Yes, sir.
in the event that there's an obelisk of light somewhere, I'm gonna get shot by it anyways,
Unit reporting.
and it automatically reveals its position. So for that reason, I don't really bother too much with it. Now, when it comes to clearing out a base, however, that I could see the inherent value in it.
Unit reporting.
Infantry reporting.
Waiting orders. Unit reporting. Sir? Unit reporting. Sir?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Unit reporting. Unit reporting. Unit
ready.
reporting.
That's sort of another issue that I have with the MSA. It's just
Sir?
the range is so small on it.
Orders. Good as done.
Waiting moving out.
Awaiting order.
Unit ready.
Unit reporting. Unit reporting.
Cloaked unit detected.
And somehow it's
Unit ready.
got eyes on my unit.
Sir? Unit reporting.
Unit ready.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't really like MSAs. There's just so little for me to utilize with them. On defensive ground, sure, there's definitely value there, but otherwise,
Infantry reporting.
pass.
Loud and clear.
Sir? No problem.
Medic!
Unit lost.
Medic! Heavy fire!
Unit reporting. Unit reporting. Unit ready. Unit reporting. Unit ready. Sir? Unit ready.
Unit lost.
Unit report, sir. Waiting orders.
Thankfully, though, once you depower the base from above the cliff,
Unit ready.
you're kind of done with this level. There's not much in the way of resistance that the base will have for you. They have 2 refineries, and there's a lot of helipads, but even on hard, they're not building anything. Because they can't use it, obviously. Which kind of makes it weird that they'd even have them in the first place, but whatever, lore building and base design. But at the end of the day, there's no attack buggies, there's no nod buggies. I should have said attack bikes, but the point is that there's not much in terms of resistance. So once you depower the base, you're pretty much good to go.
Waiting orders. Unit report.
Waiting orders.
Unit ready. Unit ready.
Waiting orders.
Unit reporting. Waiting orders. Moving out. Unit ready. Unit ready.
Medic!
Waiting orders. Sir.
I'm taking heavy
Unit
fire.
ready. Sir. Waiting orders. Waiting orders.
Waiting orders.
Unit lost.
Unit ready. Unit reporting. Waiting orders. Unit ready.
Taking heavy fire.
Unit reporting. Unit
Unit ready.
waiting orders. Waiting orders. Moving out. Waiting orders. Unit ready. Waiting orders. Unit ready. Unit ready.
Waiting orders.
Waiting orders. Sir?
Medic!
Waiting orders. Unit ready. Waiting orders.
Yeah, kind of wishing they had to sell everything and start hunting trigger on them, but
Sir?
you know, what can you do?
Unit ready. Waiting orders. Unit ready. Yes, sir. You got it. Sir, unit ready.
Sir, loud and clear.
Waiting orders. Sir? Yes, sir. Unit ready. Yes, sir. Sir? Waiting orders.
And like I said before, probably a good idea, even though it doesn't seem like anything's happening, to every once in a while just check on your base and see if anything's about to be blown up by lightning.
Unit reporting. On my way. Waiting orders. Waiting orders. Yes, sir. Sir, unit reporting.
Last thing you want is mission failure out of nowhere, simply because, you know, you get hit by the random number generator too many times.
Waiting orders. You got it. Unit reporting.
Unit ready.
Unit reporting. Unit reporting. Sir?
Sir,
Unit reporting. Sir? You got it. Unit
Unit ready.
reporting. Unit reporting. Unit ready. Unit reporting. Sir? Unit report. Unit reporting. Yes, sir.
They could have at least made these harvesters move towards me.
Unit reporting. Unit ready, sir.
Mission accomplished.